Welcome to my kcse revision channel, Jamarita Keywords Voice High School. Kindly subscribe to my channel, click the notification bell such that you get notified once I upload a new video. Today we are looking at Form 1 Mark, Topic 1, Introduction, and that is the questions that can be set from the flame. So I have the flame here. Maybe you study the diagram and then you answer the questions which follows. I have this diagram. The diagram is showing an luminous flame. So we have two types of flames, that is luminous and non-luminous flame. In most cases, the non-luminous flame is commonly tested in an examination. So name the parts record K, M, H, and G. So the part record K is just a pale blue region. Then we have part M, it is the green blue region. We have this G, which is the innermost part of the flame, and the innermost part of the non-luminous flame is almost colorless region. And of course, part H represents the chimney. Those are the three parts of non-luminous flame. Then a luminous flame normally has four regions. Explain why a non-luminous flame should be converted to luminous flame when not in use. One of the differences between luminous and non-luminous flame is that non-luminous flame is blue, the luminous flame is yellow. Luminous flame is very large in size, and then we have a non-luminous flame is very small in size. So why do we convert the non-luminous flame to luminous flame when not in use? Remember, non-luminous flame is blue in color, therefore visible is very difficult. It cannot be easily seen. When you talk of the luminous flame, which is very large in size, it can be easily seen, therefore it will not be able to cause an accident. So the main reason why we are converting the non-luminous flame to luminous flame is just to avoid the accidents, because the luminous flame is very large in size, which is visible, and the non-luminous flame is very small in size, is blue in color, and therefore not visible, hence it might cause an accident. So it just say that non-luminous flame is less visible due to its blue color, while non-luminous flame is large and brightly colored, which makes it more visible, hence reduces fire accidents. That is the main reason why the non-luminous flame should be converted to a luminous flame when not in use. Stage 2, preparatory rules that should be observed to prevent the fire accidents in the lab. What are the two preparatory rules that should be observed to prevent the fire accident in the lab? Normally in this case, you just keep the flammable substances away from fire because they can easily catch fire, and also you put off the flame when not in use. Those are some of the preparatory rules that should be observed to prevent the fire accidents. Why luminous flame is not used for heating purposes? Remember, I said that we have two types of flame. That is a luminous flame and a non-luminous flame. The non-luminous flame is very hot. It can be used for heating purposes, whereas the luminous flame is fairly hot, therefore it cannot be used for heating purposes. So to answer this question, why a luminous flame is not used for heating purposes, maybe you give two reasons. You just say it is less hot. Number two, it is where luminous flame is not used. Where luminous flame is not used for heating purposes. You just say it is less hot, it produces soot. It will make the apparatus dirty after heating. That's the reason why they cannot be used for heating purposes. These reasons why a non-luminous flame is used for heating. It is the opposite of what we have. We just say the non-luminous flame produces a lot of heat, and then it does not produce soot. Those are the two reasons why the non-luminous flame is used for heating purposes. There is another very important question here. Describe an experiment. Describe an experiment that will confirm the region labeled G labeled G is unsuitable for heating. So sorry, this one is the region labeled G. Describe an experiment to confirm that the region labeled G is unsuitable for heating. You know this G, it is the innermost part of the flame. How do you describe an experiment to show that that innermost part of the flame is unsuitable for heating? What do you need? You either need a manila paper or a wooden splint, or you can need you also need a matchstick. Then you give the procedure what is to be you will the procedure to be carried out to show that that innermost part of the flame is not suitable for heating. What do you normally do? You just have a wooden splint. If you will have a wooden splint, and then you slide in the innermost part, then you remove it quickly before it catches fire. The innermost part of that wooden splint will remain unburnt. So if you are using a manila paper, you just slide a piece of manila paper or a wooden splint into the region and quickly remove it before it catches fire. The inner part remain unburnt. Normally, this is the diagram you can just get. So if you use a wooden splint, then you slide in, then you remove it quickly before it catches fire. So we can have the outer part, this one here. We have this part here. Then we have the inner part remains uncut, or we can say that it is charred. What happens here? That the outermost part of the flame is very hot. So it will just burn this region and burn this region. Then the innermost part where it contains unburnt gases remains unburnt. That is how you can describe an experiment to show that the innermost part of the flame, which is the part labeled G, is unsuitable for heating purposes. Describe an experiment to show the innermost region of a Bunsen flame contains unburnt gases. So you are also describing this part, the innermost part. How do you describe that the innermost part of that flame contains unburnt gases? Remember the first case we were describing an experiment to show that that part is unsuitable for heating because it contains unburnt gases. Now describe another experiment to show that the innermost part of that flame contain unburnt gases. You either also need a matchstick, or you can need what you call a glass rod tube. What happens here, if you have a matchstick, you just hold the matchstick on a pin and let the head rest on the chimney. So you have that matchstick and then you let the head rest on this chimney here. Then what happens, when the chimney is lit, the head of the matchstick in the region does not lit. Because if you place the head inside here and then you lit the chimney, because this part contains unburnt gases, then the head of the chimney does not lit. If you need a glass rod tube, what normally happens here, you just insert a glass rod tube into this region. So you insert a glass rod tube in this region here. What will happen here is that the glass rod tube will pick some gases from this region. So if you insert the glass rod tube, it will pick some gas particles from this region, and if you lit at the opposite end, it burns with a very small flame. So in this case here, you will have a small flame. That is when you are using a glass rod. You talk of a glass rod tube. So you can describe that experiment. Either you can use a glass rod tube or you can just use a matchstick. Explain how the luminosity or a brightness of a Bunsen pan can be increased. How can you increase that? Is simply by closing the air hole. Explain how the hotness of a Bunsen pan can be increased. How can you increase the brightness or the luminosity of the flame? Is just by closing the air hole. When you want to increase the hotness of the flame, the Bunsen burner flame, it is just by opening the air symbol. Give four differences between luminous and non-luminous flame. In this case, when told to give the differences, you can use a conjunction or you can use the table. And I advise people to use the table, which is very easier, instead of using the conjunction. So you can use a table as you can see on the screen. So we have luminous, and then we have non-luminous, and then we have luminous. In luminous and luminous is very hot. On the other side, the luminous is fairly hot. The differences must be correct for one to score. So you cannot write that this one here is very hot, and on this side now you give yellow. In that case now you will not score. So you say very hot. This one here is very hot. The luminous is fairly hot. In terms of colors, the luminous is blue, the luminous is yellow. Then this one here, the luminous, how producing this one here does not produce soot, and that is the reason why it is used for heating purposes. And this luminous flame produces soot. This one here, luminous flame, there is a striking back, or a sucking back, or a panning back. In luminous flame, there is no striking back, no sucking back, no panning back. That's a very short answer that you are supposed to give us the differences between non-luminous and luminous flame. Give two advantages of non-luminous flame. What are the advantages, the two advantages of non-luminous flame? Advantages of non-luminous flame, it gives out a lot of heat, hence very efficient in heating. Can also say it does not form soot, hence it leaves the apparatus clean after use. Those are the advantages of an non-luminous flame. Give two disadvantages of non-luminous flame. So the disadvantages of non-luminous flame is that it uses a lot of reparatory gas. Then number two, it cannot be used for lighting purposes because it produces very little heat, very little light. That is why it cannot. That's why it cannot be used for lighting purposes. Explain the procedure for lighting a Bunsen burner flame. What are the procedure? How can you light a Bunsen burner flame? You just say adjust the column to ensure that the air holes are closed. Then from there you connect the burner to the gas tap using a rubber tubing, and in this case you ensure that rubber tubing has no leakage. Then you turn on the gas tap, and immediately you ignite the top of the chimney using the lighted matchstick. So that's simply the steps of lighting a Bunsen burner. Then I said one of the differences between a luminous and non-luminous flame is we have striking back, sucking back, or a panning back. Now, what is striking back? What is striking back, or panning back, or sucking back? What are the meaning of those terms as used in the Bunsen burner flame? You just say it is the name given to a phenomenon where a flame normally goes down into the chimney and finally it goes off. So a name given to a phenomenon where a flame goes down the chimney and goes off. Why luminous flame punched with a yellow flame? Why is a luminous flame punched with a yellow flame? Why does it punch with a yellow flame? It is just due to the white hot carbon particles, which gives out a bright yellow when punched. Then explain why a luminous flame burns with a soot flame. It burns with a soot flame because it is due to unburnt carbon particles which are repelled on cooling. That is a very simple summary on the questions which can be expected from the flame. We have very many others. For example, there is a where you are required to give the meaning of the hybrid flame and very many other questions. So this is part of the questions that you can expect in an examination from topic 1 or from 1, that's introduction to chemistry. Kindly follow my channel, click the notification bell, you get notified what is uploaded on the video. Thank you for watching.